We are recording. We ready to go? All right. Good morning and welcome to the Metro Plan Orlando MAC meeting. I'd like to call this meeting to order. My name is John Dowlis. I'll be chairing the meeting just for a few minutes this morning while Jordan is on his way. We also have a team of folks working to ensure this meeting runs smoothly for us in the room and those listening online. As we continue to meet in person, all committee members are required to physically be present here in the Metro Plan Orlando Board Room for purposes of achieving a quorum. Staff will continue to stream our meetings online for public access. I'd like to ask everyone to please silence your phones. And to begin, we're going to begin first with a moment of silence, and then I'm going to have Commissioner Scott Kennedy lead us in the pledge. Everybody stand. Amen. All right. Commissioner? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right. Already talked about the silencing your phone. I do ask that all committee members wait to be recognized to speak and activate your microphones before speaking and turning them back off when you're complete. There are two public comment points in the meeting. The first is for action items, and the second is for comments of a general nature. You may provide your public comment in person, virtually over Zoom, or in advance by email or phone message. We want this and all future meetings to be accessible to all. Participants may join by computer, tablet, or phone. If you need accommodations to participate in the future, please contact Metro Plan Orlando. And now we'd like to have Ms. Bauck go over the agenda review.
Thank you, Mayor Dallas. Good morning, MAC members. Just wanted to note one last change for the agenda. Mr. Miles O'Keefe is going to be filling in for Trish Witt today to provide the links report. And then for those who are new, my name is Laura Bauck. I'm the manager of project development here at Metro Plan Orlando. I am not your usual liaison. Sarah is in Montreal attending a family wedding, so I'm covering for her. So at your places today, you have a combined report that shows off some of the major work that we've done over the past several months. The document opens up on one side to give an executive summary of our 2050 MTP. And then if you flip it over on the other side, there's a report to the community that focuses on safety, technology, and outreach, and encapsulates some of the data from our first Vision Zero annual report. In your agenda are links to both reports on our website and to a video that summarizes the report content. I encourage you to check that out. Later in today's agenda, Natalia is going to be telling us about our upcoming transportation improvement program and how we'll be taking this information to the public. This year, we have 3 in-person pop-up tip meetings planned, 1 in each county, that will help explain our 5-year work program and what it means in those communities. Our first pop-up was this past Tuesday, and we have 2 more to go. We hope you will help us to get the word out to folks that they can pop by and talk with us about some of these upcoming projects. An additional reminder that our offices will be closed on June 19th in observance of Juneteenth. I also wanted to note that I think Lisa will bring this up a little bit later, but we will need to take up excusing a couple of absences. Mayor Sladek from last month's meeting in May, and then Commissioner Ingram for today's meeting. And then I'm going to be ending our announcements on a bittersweet note. I want to share that Marianne Horn will be retiring this month. Marianne has been with Metro Plan Orlando since 2012 and has been promoting the efforts of the entire communications team wholeheartedly over the last 14 years. Marianne's last day with us is going to be June 12th, and we will miss her greatly. Please congratulate Marianne on her well-deserved retirement if you happen to see her before you leave today. And then one final bit of housekeeping before we move on to the safety moment for this month. If you did park in our garage and are going to need your parking ticket validated, please do see Lisa before you leave for the day. And then you may have noticed that Mike's not in the room today. He's being a good partner for our friends at the Palm Beach TPO right now and contributing on a panel on micromobility safety. So I'll be getting my steps in again this month and presenting the safety moment for the month. Okay, new hat. All right, so this month's safety moment is going to focus on seatbelts again. This time, we're going to talk about how they relate to the issue of impairment. As you may remember, during one of our safety moments a few months ago, Mike reported out on how we're seeing a drop in fatal crashes involving impaired drivers, which is fantastic news. One of the things that we do like to do is dig a little bit more into the data and ensure that we're not conflating separate contributing factors for a crash. So for this analysis, we compared the last 3 years of crash data against data from 2016 to 2018, and we saw a 13% drop in fatalities for unrestrained drivers and a more than 50% drop in fatalities for unrestrained passengers. We also saw that we're doing even better with our younger passengers, where we saw a 70+% dip in the number of fatal crashes. What we did notice, though, is that really the reduction in impairment that seems to be, it's the reduction in impairment that seems to be driving the downward trend in severe crashes for those that involve our unrestrained drivers. If you look at those bottom 2 rows on this slide in particular, you can see that for those unrestrained crashes, for the impaired drivers, there was 54% decrease, but for unimpaired drivers, there was a 28% increase. So our takeaway from this is that's great that we're seeing improvements in terms of impaired driving, but we do still have some work to do on making sure that people are buckling up when they get behind the wheel, particularly for the drivers and especially our younger drivers. So we're going to end here today with this message to remind us all to make sure that we're encouraging drivers to buckle up behind the wheel so that they don't have to get buckled into one of these after a crash. And with that, I'm happy to answer any questions you may have.
Do we have any questions for Ms. Bowden? Seeing none, thank you. Oh,
I have a quick one.
Mayor.
Get this out. So are these impaired passengers as well that are over 18, or this is just passengers and the driver was impaired?
We looked at both. So if we were looking at this slide, those second 2 bullets are for our passengers, and then the other are for the drivers. Now, if we're talking about those last 2 rows, we're thinking about the drivers, whether or not the drivers were impaired and unrestrained. Yes. All right. Thank you.
Great, thank you. Next, we will hear from our agency partners. First is Mr. Scarf with FDOT District 5. Mr. Scarf, you're up.
Good morning, Mr. Chair, MAC committee members. A few items for you this morning, and thank you again for allowing me the opportunity to provide some district-wide news for you today. First, I'll cover the Central Florida Safety Summit that we held last month. It was held in St. Cloud on May 8th. And I want to just remind you that this brings together our local governments, transportation organizations, law enforcement, advocacy groups, schools, and FDOT to celebrate the advance of our safety efforts on local roadways. And following that, I did want to point out some of the local award winners that we had. So we did have incredible representation from the 3-county area this year. And first, I'd like to tell you that Metro Plan Orlando received the Outreach Award for their safety efforts. And then Bob Delari, Seminole County Commissioner and Metro Plan Orlando Board Officer, also received the Individual Award. And Osceola County took home the Community Award for their efforts. So again, congratulations to all. We're deeply grateful for these partnerships. And this collaborative effort is exactly how we continue to move the needle on traffic safety in Central Florida. Next slide, please. So switching gears, I'm going to have a video for you here in a second, but June marks the transition or the official start of the 2026 hurricane season. And I want to assure this committee that the One FDOT team is fully ready to serve. Our approach as Floridians and transportation professionals, emergency response is second nature to us, and our team operates as a well-oiled machine. Because we take the proactive year-round approach to storm planning, we are uniquely equipped to respond quickly and effectively to even the most severe infrastructure impacts. And I'd like to provide you with a quick video of some of our preparation for this year's season.
Thinking of the millions in the path of this hurricane, the Category 4 hurricane slamming into Florida's southwest coast this afternoon. Ian making landfall right near Fort Myers.
Less than 3 weeks after Hurricane Ian destroyed Florida's Sanibel Island Causeway, the bridge reopened yesterday.
What many thought would take 6 months, the governor pushed us to do it faster, and we delivered.
Ever since this storm, Milton, made landfall, the hurricane force winds, we can really start to feel it.
We are seeing ferocious gusts of wind.
We staged our assets, our bridge inspectors, our team members, our heavy equipment. We do plan to have all of our resources and heavy equipment and contractors staged north and south of the cone. We will be pushing in with full force to clear roads, inspect bridges, assess damage, and begin repairs as quickly as we possibly can. Every minute that a road or a bridge is down after a storm comes through can hinder the life safety mission.
Whoa.
It's always fun with YouTube, right? But as you can imagine, these continuous preparations are vital and they ensure we can protect Florida's communities, rapidly clear our transportation networks, and support regional recovery. Just as we've demonstrated through our response achievements over the last few years. And again, I'd like to thank you for the opportunity to present this morning. And as always, feel free to reach out with any department-related questions.
Any questions for FDOT?
I got one for you, Bob.
Yes, sir.
Offline later.
Okay. We have Mr. Miles O'Keefe here from Lynx. Mr. O'Keefe.
Good morning, Chair, committee members. Just a few updates on links and activities and ridership. So ridership as of now, weekdays, fairly even with last year, sitting at about 63,500 trips per weekday. Saturdays are up 1% from last year at about 45,500 per Saturday. And Sundays and holidays are up 4% over last year to about 33,500 per day. In terms of projects the agency is working on, continue to work towards a purchase of property within the city of Kissimmee for a second operations and maintenance facility. We also continue working with GOA and MCO staff on a new bus transfer facility located at Terminal C adjacent to the Brightline station. And lastly, this summer we will be kicking off a major update of our transit development plan. As part of that, we will be conducting a system-wide origin and destination survey. And that completes my update.
Thank you, Mr. O'Keefe. Any questions? Okay, see none. Last, we have Mr. Hughes from Florida's Turnpike Enterprise. Mr. Hughes, when you are ready.
Good morning, Mr. Chair, committee members. Again, Lauren Hughes, NPO Liaison, Turnpike. As discussed in previous MAC meetings, Turnpike has a few up-and-coming projects in the area. Well, today, we have the lead project manager, Mr. Michael Leo. Well, today he'll present to you those projects and go in detail with you specifically the scope of the project, current status of the project, and its actual enhancements. Again, those projects are 436-194-3, winding of the Turnpike in Osceola County, as well as the bundle project in Orange County 438-547-2 and 449-79-1 and 3, Orlando South Ultimate Interchange. So later on in the agenda, you will hear from our project manager, Mr. Leo, with that presentation. With that concludes my report.
Thank you. Any questions for Florida Turnpike? Seeing none, thank you, Mr. Hughes. I will now turn it over to Ms. Lisa Smith for roll call.
Yes, good morning. Carson. Davitt.
Present.
Dowless.
Here.
Henson.
Here.
Ingram. Keller.
Here.
Kennedy.
Here.
McCann.
Here.
Morgan.
Here.
Randolph.
Here.
Slatic. Smith.
Here.
Mr. Chair, that concludes the roll call, and we do have a quorum physically present. And as Laura mentioned, we do need a motion excusing Mayor Slatic's absence for the May meeting and Commissioner Ingram for this meeting.
Okay, is there a motion?
Motion to.
Second.
Motion by Mayor McCann, second by Mayor Dallas. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? So that passes. We will now hear public comments on action items. We ask that you provide your name and address for the record, and please hold public comments to 2 minutes or less. If any members of the public wish to comment and are joining us virtually, please use the raise hand function and you'll be recognized, or dial *9 on your phone keypad. We'll send you a prompt to unmute your mic. If you need accommodations to participate in the future, please contact Metro Plan Orlando. Do we have anyone joining us virtually who would like to make a comment?
Mr. Chair, we do not have any virtual requests or in person.
And are there any written comments that are submitted before the meeting?
None were received.
Okay. We have one action item today. Our first action item is approval of the MAC minutes from May 7th, 2026. These can be viewed at section 1 in your agenda packets. Do I have a motion to approve the minutes?
So moved.
Do I have a second? Who is it second? Oh, okay, so motion by Mayor Henson, second by Commissioner David. This is a voice vote. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, the motion passes. We have 3 informational presentations today. Please hold questions until the presentation ends if possible. The first one is a presentation on the draft transportation improvement plan TIP for fiscal year 26-27 to fiscal year 2030-31. We have a preview of the I'm sorry. Ms. Barber, yes, Ms. Barber, we have your attention. Sorry.
Good morning, Mr. Chair and committee members. Today I will introduce to you the Transportation Improvement Program preview. There's no action on this item today. It's for informational purposes. And I will dive right into it. So what is the TIP? It's a annually updated transportation program, and it sets the schedule for improvements to the region's transportation for the next 5 years. So what it does, it assigns available funding to different projects throughout the region. It includes the variety of funding sources from federal, state to Turnpike, Florida Turnpike Enterprise, as well as locally funded projects and CFX projects. Those are there for informational purposes. And what's new in this TIP is that it was updated for consistency with the long-range transportation plan, which is the 2050 MTP. So MetroPlan Orlando has 3 core products. The first one and the longest one is the long-range transportation plan, and that covers the region's needs for the 25 years. Then MetroPlan uses a process to prioritize these projects, and that's how PPL is formed, and you will learn about it in a few minutes from one of my colleagues. And then once the projects are prioritized, they make it to the TIP. And in the TIP, they're projects with actual funding. So the projects are ready for implementation in the next 5 years. This is a brief outline of the document and how you can navigate it. It has, of course, introduction and overview, the list of regionally significant projects. The most important section are the financial summaries by fund categories, and I'll tell you about it in a minute, as well as it follows with different abbreviation explanations and references to adopted priority list, and finally system performance report. The first section is the interstate national highway systems projects. These are going to be projects that are on interstate highway system, strategic intermodal system, and freight network. These projects also include Moving Florida Forward interchange improvements, and that's 30 projects in total for $1.5 billion. State highway system projects. It's a very large section with 118 projects, and MetroPlan Orlando contributes to 7 for $50 million in funding. And in this section, you can find a variety of projects from capacity improvements to urban corridor improvements, safety improvements, ITS. Aviation, very self-explanatory section, probably one of the most self-explanatory sections. This is going to be related to the 3 airports in the region, 14 projects, over $200 million in funding. Urban corridor improvement projects, a wide variety of projects that will include improvements to safety of bicyclists and pedestrians, corridor improvements, 12 projects in total, and MetroPlan contributes to 11 of these projects for $46 million in funding. Active transportation projects, again, focused on bicycle and pedestrians improvements as well as trails. 10 projects in total, MetroPlan contributes to 9 of them, and total funding $32 million. And also, there's a note that additional projects related to active transportation are also a part of the larger projects in different sections. TISMA projects, innovation, safety improvements, 13 in total, and MetroPlan contributes to all 13 of them for nearly half of the total funding, which is $23 million. Regional transit, these mainly include transit-related improvements, commuter rail, 26 total, 604 million, and Metroplan contributes to 2 for 44 million in funding. And these are mainly for transit capital improvements, so these do not include operations. Toll road, included in the tip for informational purposes, and these include Florida Turnpike and Enterprise and CFX. We have not included the CFX projects yet because they're not available, but once they are available and the CFX work plan becomes available, we will add them. These are projects for nearly $900 million. Partner funded, we reached out to local agencies and asked what they have been up to, what they're building in the region. And we collected a database of nearly 120 projects, and that's almost $1 billion in funding, again, in the tip for informational purposes only. This is the funding summary of, this is just federal and state funded projects. So this pie chart does not include any of the CFX projects or partner funded projects. It's over $3 billion, 230 projects, and different categories on the pie chart. Metroplan funding goes to 4 categories, and it contributes to 35 projects for 145 million, from active transportation to TISMO transit capital, urban corridor improvements. So what's next? We have prepared this document for your review, and now we're collecting feedback not only from our partners, but also from the public. So how can you view the tip? You can go to our website and learn about how to navigate the document. There will be a tip viewer that will be on our website available as well. We have started public engagement process, and we kicked it off this week in Orange County across the street, where we can answer questions from the public. The next one will be in Kissimmee, and then the following week in Sanford. So the next steps for you, as I mentioned, there's no action on this item today. The draft will be reviewed by the agency partners, and the comments will come in by June 5th. So we have reached out to all of your staff, and we're requested comments. And the public comments are requested by July 8th, and they will be presented to the board during that meeting, and the board will take action on the tip. I'll be happy to take any questions.
Do we have any questions for Ms. Barber? See none, thank you very much, appreciate it.
If you have a project, better get on this list.
Yes. Next, we have a preview of the draft prioritized project list from Mr. Slade Down from staff. Mr. Downs, when you are ready.
All right, thank you. Good morning, everyone. Like Chair just mentioned, I'll be walking you through a preview of our annual prioritized project list update. So like the TIP, the prioritized project list is updated annually. So Natalia just told you about the next 5 years covered in the TIP, but not all of our transportation needs are funded within that short time frame. That's where the PPL kicks in. It covers all unfunded projects and project phases over the 10 years following the TIP, running from 2032 to 2042. The PPL basically identifies what's next, whether that be the next phase of a project or a new project altogether. The PPL focuses on federally and state-funded projects, and it's structured and consistent with our board's funding policies and the 2050 MTP's cost-feasible projects. The PPL covers 8 different funding categories, which is where we have our 8 different separate project lists. These lists are structured based on federal and state funding sources and their project eligibility considerations. So I'll walk you through each one of those in just a minute, but first, I mentioned earlier that we update the PPL every year, but this year the document has had kind of a deeper refresh to align more closely with the newly adopted 2050 MTP. So the document may look a bit different than before, but these are definitely the same projects that we were adopted as part of the MTP back in December, so the projects should be familiar. So this is an example of what you'll see in the project tables within the PPL itself. First up over here on the left, you'll see the rank of where the project ranks on that list. Next, you'll see the name of the roadway, trail, or other facility, followed by the state's financial management number and the MTP ID. Next, you've got the geographic limits of the project and the government agency responsible for that project. The project description, of course, tells you what the improvements consist of. Here in the phase request column, that shows you what funding is being requested. So here, maintain means the money has already been programmed, and we'd like to keep it that way. And program is us asking for the next phase of funding. And then this last column is the actual amounts of funding being requested. So each priority list is formatted this way throughout the document, and I'll give you a quick rundown on each of those. So first up, we've got our interstate highway system and strategic intermodal system. There's been a lot of progress made on I-4 in recent years, but there's still more work to be done across the region. That's where you'll find those projects. Next up, we've got our state roads and state highway system. This includes the full range of project types on non-tolled state roads, from roadway widening to technology improvements and more. Next, we have our Transportation Regional Incentive Program, or TRIP. This is a state discretionary funding program. This state program has specific funding match requirements, which are noted on the right side of this slide. Our approach in recent years has been to request state TRIP funds to supplement federally funded local LAP projects. Next, we have our High Injury Network Countermeasures Program, which is a direct result of our Vision Zero efforts to bring traffic-related deaths and fatalities down to zero. This list includes, it implements, our board's policy for safety-focused project funding as a means for local agencies to implement regional and local safety action plans off the state highway network. Next, we have our urban corridor and context-sensitive design improvements. This list includes multimodal roadway projects off the state highway system. You may know these as complete streets projects. There's a bit of new verbiage related, but it is those same high quality improvement projects. They include aspects like design improvements to make roads safer and more enjoyable for all users. Next, we have our active transportation list. This includes infrastructure traditionally dedicated for pedestrians and cyclists. This set of projects includes multi-use paths near roadways, regional trails that connect neighborhoods and cities, and projects to fill in gaps in our sidewalk network. Next, we've got our TSMO projects, our Transportation System Management and Operations improvements. These projects focus on optimizing the performance of existing roads rather than building additional lanes or additional roadways. This is accomplished by innovative intersection improvements and technology deployments. And lastly, we have our regional transit priorities. These priorities are derived from the 2050 MTP cost feasible plan. Our number one transit priority, of course, continues to be connecting Sunrail to the airport, to Orlando International Airport, and Lynx's Southern Operations Base. So in terms of next steps, I'm going to present this preview to our board later in the month. And we're currently looking for feedback and comments from all of our local partners, including all of you and your staff. We are asking that you get those comments to us by June 5th. I know that is tomorrow, but we've given your staff a bit more heads up, and we have gotten some comments back from some of them already. So they are participating in that feedback process. And then after that, we incorporate the feedback into the final version of the PPL, which we'll bring back to you at our next meeting, asking for your recommendation for adoption by the full board. And with that, I'd be happy to take any questions. Thank you.
Any questions for Mr. Downs? Mayor Dallas?
Thank you. I have a question more about process, and I don't recall how this goes. Is each year that the PPL and MTP are adopted, is it considered a new standalone document, or do you, if you make changes, or does it continue with the next year so that you, like legislation, they will either underline or strike through showing changes from the previous year?
So as far as, you know, comparing last year to this year, there isn't like a strike through underline like there is in legislative bill drafting, but it is those same lists being updated as the projects progress forward. So it is the same kind of moving upwards. Do you want to add anything to it?
Yeah, I'll add a little bit to that. So good morning, I'm Taylor Laurent from Metro Plan Orlando as well. So in terms of the projects, we want to make sure that we finish the projects that we start. So as part of the MTP's development, the Long Range Transportation Plan, you'll see in those project cost feasible lists that they always start with the projects that are in progress. So we want to finish what we start before we bring in anything new. And you see that reflected in the prioritized project list as well.
So if we have our eye on a project and it's on the PPL, I just want to make sure something doesn't slip out or if it gets, you know, during the process. So how can we keep track? We just have to keep track of as each.
We keep track of that ourselves here at the MPO as part of our quality control process. We don't want any projects to get lost in the shuffle. That's why we take it from.
I'm not worried about getting
25-year
lost.
plan.
I'm more worried about somebody wanting to take it off.
The only times we've seen projects be taken off the list is by the local agency request. So if there's a specific project you have questions about or interest in, please email Slade or myself and we'll be able to talk with you about those directly.
Got one more question if I could. As a general process question, there's a list of unfunded priority projects that are, you know, near term. Is it safe to assume that those would then move to funded in the next year or two, or do we need to stay on top of those? Would it be helpful for us to take action to try to catapult them to the next level?
So as far as timeline goes, it depends on the available funding and the number of kind of the number of projects at the top of that priority list as they kind of ratchet upwards in the as they get funded. Each phase gets funded through us. Yeah, some of those lists do include local match funding, and if it is one of those projects, then there would be that local match fund action required from the city's side.
So generally speaking, the one I'm most concerned about is one that had previously just sort of fallen off the radar, and that is the expansion of 434 from, it looks like on here, it's the #1 priority from Jeddah Point to Artesia. And that is one of the most dangerous stretches of road, and I don't want it to fall off again. And I understand that, you know, you have to finish what you've started, and that's probably why I got bumped back about 10 years, but.
Well, that project is in progress. So that's the
Yes.
roundabouts project.
Yes.
So Metro Plan Orlando currently has a lot of funding on there for the right-of-way phases.
Okay.
To keep it moving forward. That's
Okay.
currently in the tip that Natalia just presented about. We can follow up on that separately if you'd like. But the next need would be the construction phase. That's why you're seeing it there at the top of the list, because it's in progress, partially funded through completion, but we want to make sure it doesn't get lost and that we know that there's still more that needs to be done and more funding needed to keep it moving forward.
Any other questions? Real fast, what is the process to add a project to the prioritized project list?
So the projects in the PPL are pulled in directly from the 2050 MTP. So basically they must be on the MTP first to get into this the PPL hopper. That kind of call for projects was done as part of the MTP creation. And so that is the main way to get on these lists, to get a project on these lists.
Great, thank you. And finally, we have a status update on Florida's Turnpike Enterprise projects from Mr. Michael Leo from Florida's Turnpike Enterprise. Mr. Leo, the floor is yours.
Thank you, and thanks for having us in today. As Lauren mentioned, I'm going to be presenting on two separate projects. When I get to the end of the first presentation, I'll pause for questions before moving on to the next one. The first project presented is for bundled projects at the Orlando South Interchange in Orange County. And the second presentation is for a turnpike widening project from milepost 242 to 243.5, including improvements at the US 192 interchange in Osceola County. The bundle projects that I'll talk about first are for improvements at Consulate Drive, La Quinta Drive, and Gills Drive in Orange County. So the design phase of this project began the third quarter of last year and included a reevaluation of a PD&E study that was completed in 2021. The public information meeting is scheduled for June 16th and 18th of this month, and a public hearing is tentatively scheduled for December of this year. Right-of-way acquisition process is expected to begin the fourth quarter of 2026, and construction is scheduled for the first quarter of 2028. And I will note that the schedule that I just presented is subject to change, but we will, throughout the project development, continue to engage with local stakeholders. So before covering the projects currently in design, I want to briefly cover some background. The Orlando South Interchange in Orange County is at the intersection of Florida's Turnpike and State Road 528. It was originally constructed back in 1964 to provide turnpike access to Orange Blossom Trail. It has been modified over the years to meet changing needs of the area and users, and now includes connections to the Beachline Expressway. Operational issues resulting from the current configuration, the location of the interchange, as well as the characteristics of traffic have resulted in operational issues at this interchange. So the Turnpike recognized the need for improvements and engaged in that PD&E study for the Orlando South Ultimate Interchange, which, as I mentioned, was completed in 2021. That PD&E was a large regional study that covered about 3.5 miles along the Turnpike and about 4 miles along the beach line. The preferred alternative identified in the PD&E study included the main interchange, as well as reliever interchanges connected to local streets. One interchange, known as the Volterra interchange, was identified east of Florida Mall along 528, and the other identified was Taft Vineland along the Turnpike south of the main interchange. For the main interchange, directional ramps would be constructed between the Turnpike and Beach Line to improve efficiency. There's existing bridges over the Turnpike that would be replaced to allow for additional lanes on the main line. Improved ramp operations are addressed with all electronic tolls and the elimination of ramp weaving. Local street operations are improved with the addition of the recommended interchanges, improvements along Consulate Drive, and improvements to the Orange Blossom Trail and Consulate Drive intersection. The total cost of these improvements will exceed $1 billion. So large projects like this are often delivered in segments, and PD&Es are often reevaluated. This is one of those projects that will be delivered in segments, and the PD&E is currently being reevaluated. The first segment advancing from this PD&E is the Taft Vineland interchange, which is located to the south. That's expected to begin construction by the end of this year. So the Volterra interchange that I mentioned earlier, recommended in that original PD&E study, would connect the beach line to Land Street Road and Sand Lake Road. Due to the complexity of this location and the amount of right-of-way impacts, the Turnpike engaged in a feasibility study as part of the PD&E reevaluation. The goal of that study was to identify another alternative that would address the current congestion, but could be delivered with fewer impacts and a lower cost so that the Turnpike could deliver those improvements in the near term. So the main purpose of that Volterra interchange was to eliminate these ramps to and from Land Street Road, reducing congestion along Land Street as well as its intersection with Orange Blossom Trail, while also providing for operational improvements on the beach line and the remaining loop ramp. So to achieve this, the study recommended an interchange located west of the Volterra interchange, which would maintain the same functionality, allow for closure of those Land Street Road ramps, but could deliver needed congestion relief in the near term. The solution consists of a new Beachline eastbound on-ramp from Gills Drive and a new Beachline westbound off-ramp to La Quinta Drive. These proposed improvements along La Quinta have the potential to provide some relief to the statewide shortage of available tractor trailer parking. So the PD&E reevaluation, which is currently underway, is considering locating a truck parking lot in an out parcel owned by Florida Mall, and ingress and egress to that truck parking area would be via that roundabout. So now that I've talked about the background for both the original PD&E and the reevaluation, I'll now move on to describe the two bundled projects derived from these studies that are currently advancing to final design, acknowledging that these are two of many projects to come that together will incrementally improve operations in this area. So the first project will construct only the west portion of the interchange south of Florida Mall to provide access to Orange Blossom Trail. Specific improvements would include the new Beachline westbound off-ramp to La Quinta, the new roundabout on La Quinta Drive, milling and resurfacing along La Quinta and restriping to provide an additional westbound lane, lighting along the ramp and roundabout, and then intersection improvements and upgrades at the La Quinta Drive US 441 interchange. This shows a typical section of La Quinta Drive, showing the additional westbound lane along with sidewalks. So the second project derived from the PD&E and the reevaluation, which is currently in design, includes interim improvements at the main Orlando South interchange, which again are first steps towards future improvements to come. The interim improvements will help increase safety and relieve traffic congestion along Consulate Drive near the Turnpike. Improvements include providing 2 dedicated left turn lanes and 2 through lanes on Florida's Turnpike southbound exit ramp to Consulate Drive, adding a 3rd left turn lane on Consulate Drive at US 441, and extending the right turn lane on Orange Blossom Trail. So traffic analysis was performed on these improvements, and they confirm operational improvements resulting from the projects. Under the build condition, there's an overall 9% reduction in cumulative intersection delay from Sand Lake Road to Taft Island when compared to the no-build scenario. And in addition to intersection performance, corridor travel times were evaluated for the 2035 PM peak, and this analysis indicated travel time improvements along both Orange Blossom Trail and State Road 528. Any question on the bundle projects?
Any questions for Mr. Leo?
The peak reduction,
So
it's going to reduce within what period time?
So we looked projecting traffic to 2035, and we looked at what the improvements would result in terms of overall improvements, and that's what's depicted on this slide. So there's a reduction in both intersection delays along Orange Blossom Trail, as well as reductions in time along the 2 corridors, OBT and 528.
Okay, and I thought you said that was just, you measured just during a peak time? Did you mention?
So the traffic volumes that they consider when doing this analysis would be the traffic in the peak hour in the year 2035.
Perfect, thank you.
Okay.
Any additional questions?
I've got the traffic expert behind me, but I think I handled the question okay.
Okay, so thank you very much, Mr. Leo.
I have the next presentation now. This one is much quicker. So the next project is for the widening of the Turnpike from south of US 192 to Parton Settlement Road in Osceola County. And that's milepost 242 to 243.5. That also includes, as I mentioned earlier, the interchange improvements at US 192. This slide highlights key milestones for that project. Public information meeting also scheduled this month, June 9th and 11th, with right-of-way acquisition to follow. The design is scheduled to be completed by the 3rd quarter of 2027, and construction is planned for the 1st quarter of 2028. So this project falls between 2 adjacent projects currently in construction, which are widening Florida's Turnpike main line. The project to the north widens from Parton Settlement to Osceola Parkway, and the project to the south includes the Clay Whaley Road interchange improvements, the new Nolte Road interchange, and widening from milepost 239 to 242. So this slide illustrates the proposed improvements with north oriented to the right. This project will add 2 new lanes in each direction, expanding the roadway from 4 to 8 lanes. The existing bridge over US 192 will be replaced to accommodate additional lanes and optimize mainline geometry. The turnpike interchange at US 192 will be completed with the addition of new northbound and southbound on-ramps and a new southbound off-ramp. In addition, the existing northbound exit ramp will be widened and lanes will be added to increase storage capacity and improve intersection operations. The new northbound on-ramp and southbound off-ramp will be tolled at the location shown there in yellow. These toll sites will feature all electronic toll collection. Right-of-way acquisition is required for the proposed ponds and turn lane, shown in green. Proposed noise barriers are shown in teal and pink. And finally, US 192 will be modified to provide new turn lanes and new signalized intersections associated with the ramp, the entrance ramps. The timing of these 3 signals will be coordinated to maximize operational efficiency of the interchange. And this next slide is just a zoomed in version of the same thing, just to show all of the improvements without the labels. Any questions on this one?
Any questions? Nope.
Thank you very much.
That concludes today's presentations. There are several items under general information at section 3 in your agenda packets. The next Metro Plan Orlando board meeting will be on Wednesday, June 10th at 9 a.m. And our next MAC meeting is July 2nd at 9:30 a.m. At this time, do any committee members want to make any final comments? Okay, seeing none. Moving on to public comments. If any members of the public wish to comment, please use the raise hand function and you'll be recognized, or dial *9 on your phone keypad. We'll unmute your mic. After you are recognized, please state your name and address for the record and limit your comment to 2 minutes or less. Do we have anyone joining us virtually who would like to make a comment?
Mr. Chair, we don't have any hands raised on the virtual side, and I have not received any requests to speak in person.
And are there any written or phone comments that were submitted before the meeting?
There were none received.
Okay. At this time, if there's no further business, we stand adjourned. Thank you.